Hello adventurers, my name is Shelby and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this mini goblin house from Old School Runescape. Since this is my first video, I figured what better place to start than in Lumbridge. I tried to get the dimensions by measuring in game and then I just ignored it. I started by measuring and cutting out all the sides of the house that I needed. And then adding on the bits for the roof that I didn't account for while I was cutting them out earlier.
Don't worry, I am a doctor.
For the crumbling walls on the outside, I started by just cutting out the rough shape, and I'm going to come back in with some pliers later and kind of rough them up a little bit. Cut out all the windows and the door frame, which I actually end up coming back and putting some in because the door is not that big. Once I have everything cut to size, I mark these lines in with a mechanical pencil, and then I'm going to come back in with a ball stylus and accentuate those lines. And then add a little bit of brick texture. And I just needed to tear up the crumbled wall pieces to make them look a little more crumbly. For adding a little bit of rock texture, I found this ancient cursed moon rock in the middle of the field. And now we make them kith. I mixed some Mod Podge and some black acrylic paint to make a grayish Mod Podge, and cover everything in this to seal the foam so that the paint will actually stick to it instead of soaking in. I'm making these little wooden support beams. And these little iron grates to go in the back. Next, to make the door, I do the same thing I did with the house and mark it up with a mechanical pencil and then come back in with a ball stylus. But this time I use my mechanical pencil to scratch some little wooden textures that will come out a little bit more when I paint and dry brush. And I do the same with all of my little wooden beams. For the window panes, I just used this plastic bag cut down to size, and then I glued some popsicle sticks down for the frame. To make the bowl on top of the torches, I gave this ball stylus a bowl cut. Then I sculpt out the main bit of the torch and paint it brown. Be sure not to drop it in the paint. For the flames, I just use some hot glue and make it kind of wispy. And paint it orange. The obvious next step is sculpting raw chicken. It gets painted pink, and then...
That's rough, buddy.
I mix together some white and black acrylic paint, and when that eventually turns brown, you cover all of your pieces with it. Like, all of them. I do the same with the wooden beams, and then the door. And the little Wendy's. Then I paint approximately 1,000 little bricks. Before you say anything about the long bricks, RuneScape likes long bricks. I dry brush it with some white. And then hit it with some black wash, which is essentially just water and black acrylic paint. Everybody gets the same treatment here. And then it's on to making bones. Next, using this translucent Sculpey, I make a little flame for this pile of logs. And paint it orange and dry brush it with some yeller. The logs get the same highlight and black Mod Podge, just to give it some grime. Next, I'm on to making tiny furniture. First up is this little wooden stool. It gets the same Mod Podge treatment as before, and I made sure that when I dry brushed it, I really got in there so that all the legs fell off. Followed my dreams here and whittled the tiniest wooden dagger that you will see a little bit later.
Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! SpongeBob, careful!
Now, if you've actually seen the Goblin House in Lumbridge, you know that it's full of boxes. And I'm here to tell you that I did make every single one of those boxes. And it was agonizing. And then I found out that they were too big, and I was too lazy to remake them. So here's one very good box. Now it's time to slap this bad boy together with some super glue, and be sure to get it all over your hands. Listen, I love RuneScape, but the broken window panes in this game, not pleasing to the eye.
Nice shot!
For the base, I cut out this piece of insulation foam and kind of roughed up the edges a bit to give it a rocky texture. And I took this beef udon, I mean cookies and cream slush made out of Mod Podge and some good Texas soil. and smear that all over like I'm frosting a cake. Once that dried, I hit it with a coat of gray primer and then painted it to give it a little bit of variation. I then dry brushed it with varying shades of light brown and white to highlight the edges, and then coated it in black wash to give it that grimy goblin trodden look. Next, it gets this gross green wash to kind of hint subtly at some grass, give the appearance of grass, and then we dab off the excess. Now it's time to glue this baby in place. I cut a hole in the bottom for my campfire light and then smushed some more cookies and cream in there. Once it dried, I gave it a little bit of paint. Now for the roof. I cut some strips of foam to add to the outside of the roof so that it'll give it a little bit of height. And then glued those all around the edge. And then painted them varying shades of brown. Then for the shingles, I cut these strips of gray painted cardstock and just kind of roughed them up a little bit so I could layer them to look like shingles on a very old, dirty house. Then dry brush the edges. And grime that with some wash. Then I glue the gables. Pretty sure they're called gables. And then I'm going to start adding a little bit of greenery, so I'm going to paint the places that I want to put my moss and then cover those spots in Mod Podge. I actually end up adding way more after this, but this is all I recorded, so good content. Shake it off and save it for later. I hit it with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and some Mod Podge. And then I do the same for my grass. Everything's getting a little bit of moss, even though it's not really in RuneScape. I just figured it would give it a little bit of color and realism. Here's some bones! Back to the bone zone, baby! Everything starts getting glued in place. Arguably one of the most satisfying parts. Look who's back! Tiny iron dagger. For the ground. I glue my campfire on top of my light. Add my chicken. And my stool. Don't forget about the debris. And make sure you paint those rocks to look like rocks. Same for the bricks. And I'm going to finish it up with a little bit of fake moss for my real fake rocks. I made this channel because I have no idea what I want to make. I'm a chronic one-time crafter. I find a new medium, buy all the supplies, and then only do it once, and most of the time I don't even finish the project. Creating content gives me a reason to truly focus on a project until I get it done, and an opportunity to find a medium I really enjoy. While not to sound too much like I'm in a job interview, but potentially building a community with crafters whose brains are as broken as mine. If you like this video, subscribe, maybe like the video. That's it. I had a really good time with this, giving myself space to just make something and make it the way that I wanted to. Anyways, see y'all next time. Bye.